there's at least 6 enemies on the field. It seems that means the main enemy heals herself slowly, bit by bit. So we obviously don't want to do that, and that's one reason I decided to bring an AoE servant here to hopefully be able to keep the enemy from being too done. It's a wave of 4 right now. So these buffs... It's when it hit by a quick card, then the NP gain and crit star... Oh, it's neutralized. Ooh, interesting. So this enemy is just not gonna... But it's 1. Okay. Certainly an interesting setup. But I think we have enough enemies and such that... Let's just start by using up all the buffs. Let's just treat it like it's an actual farming node, and then we'll go from there. We'll do that. I was considering using the arts chain, but I think the front Castoria is not going to have that much trouble getting her MP up. I hope this will get the arts. Oh, that's it. Unfortunate. They died, but they didn't die. We'll get another arts chain for the front Castoria. Alright, so they summon only 1 at a time? Okay. That's good to know. Okay, this time... Can do that. So I'm thinking even with just 3 enemies, Mordred should get her NP back as well. And cluster. And a few hits there. Now it's just them. So they bring 3. Okay. They keep charging up their NPs. So one nice thing is Mordred does have the CE, is it Origin Bullet? Which means she has Pierce Invul, so the enemy dodge doesn't matter. Don't know where it shows that. But in order to take care of these guys though, I wanna... Thing is, it seems like Mordred's NP is just not strong enough by itself to kill the entire wave. So let's actually try this. With the buff, I just hope the enemy doesn't charge their NP. That'd be annoying. Because otherwise I should use the Earth Chain or Castoria's NP. Alright, got her NP back as well. Easily. Okay, she brings someone out. But yeah, otherwise they're not doing anything. And now she's NPing. Now we're lacking buffs. So I'm actually not sure if Mordred's gonna get her NP up, but she should be close on the close end, and her third skill can give her another 30%. Oh right, her NP also... I forgot about that. But yeah, her NP also reduces the enemy's NP charge. So, as a result, the enemy's not going to NP this turn. But I guess that's okay. We might still manage to have the involves available. Okay, we needed more than 3%. Okay, so unfortunately Mordred's not going to get her NP up. But we still have those invols. So we can handle that. We can kill... I actually don't know which one is going to... So 1, 2, and 2. Alright, so we'll just use this to be extra sure, just in case they attack first before using the NP. But otherwise, I think we can count on Herd being okay. And I'm just gonna go straight damage here. Not worry too much about Castoria getting the Arts Chain. Okay, yeah, they did attack once, but that would have been okay. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, right, they're charmed. They're charmed, so they're not going to use the NP until the charm comes off, but the charm's not going to come off until they break the bar, maybe? Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Yeah, it looks like the breaking the bar is going to remove the charm, and that'll probably mean they'll NP right away, but that does mean that we're basically safe from their NPs for now. So that part's good. I guess it's not worth it to use the heal quite yet. Will do. I'm worried that she's not going to be strong enough to kill a lot of the enemies. She is only MP1, unfortunately. I wish I had more MP levels of her. Yeah, even at level 90, at MP1, she ain't strong enough. I think we can afford to not clear the entire wave literally every time. Okay. But we just have to keep out-damaging the heal somehow. Definitely use one of these. Yeah, we'll go full damage. And that should kill 1 or 2 of the enemies, but not all of the little guys. Just keep looking at it. But yeah, I think even if we don't end up killing that many enemies, as long as we are able to out-damage the healing, we'll be okay. It's still just gonna take a while. That's right. Target Mordred, no. So I don't have that many heals, so I'm gonna have to be really, really hopeful or lucky, you might say, if he gets targeted. How much? That when I have dodges and involves, that they get used properly. Okay. Fortunately, none of Mordred's cards. So let's overcharge and get Castoria's NP. Yeah. So let's start using Castoria's NPs, actually. I should have done this earlier. I should have used them staggered in a way to get lots of involves so that we don't get damage, obviously. Usually want to save their involves for enemy NPs, of course, but in this fight it seems enemy NPs is not something that we need to worry too much about. So let's refocus and deal with The invols. Use the invols. Yeah, I think we're okay with Castoria being able to get her NP up without using that arts card there. We'll have other arts chains. And I am noticing the enemy and damage or enemy HP constantly going down, so that part's also good. Okay. Right, so they're charmed and stunned. Okay. I don't quite know what the point of that is, but sure. Hello, Sword of Cardo. Thank you for coming by. Hope you've had a good Sunday. Mine's been pretty uneventful, lazy, but started, I've been reading Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. It's a sequel to Alice in Wonderland, but started reading a bit of that. Interesting stuff. Anyway, you can see I'm here at this challenge quest. What do I want to do here? Do I want to use the Brave Chain? Fuck it, I want to use the Brave Chain. The Brave Chain's too good not to take here. But, yeah, this is the Super... Is it Super Bunyan? It's a 5-star Bunyan, Paul Bunyan we're getting. But this should be maybe a couple months, a month or two out in NA. Challenge quest is interesting. We're 10 turns in, barely anything's happened, but it hasn't been very difficult at all. But I believe it's probably going to change after the bar breaks. This? What event is this? I don't remember off the top of my head what the name of the event is. The Learn with Manga Collaboration. That's it's called. This FGO Learn with Manga Collaboration. And there's a Super Paul Bunyan. But I believe it's about a month or two out in NA. Because KR is about a month or two ahead of NA right now. And it has been for about 6 months, I think. So not too long. But this will be, I believe, a chance... Well, at this point, the Paul Bunyan event, the one that originally introduced Paul Bunyan as the 1-star welfare. I believe she was actually the first 1-star welfare. But that interlude is going to be unlockable. It's going to be free without having to use rare prisms. So that'll be a chance to get Paul Bunyan, who is a great servant, in my opinion. There's a reason I have her level 90, even though she's a 1-star. A little burnout, grinding embers, trying to play this through the story. Oh yeah? Well, I can't blame you if you're getting a little burnout. That happens to most people at some point. To fight Odysseus. Okay, I think that's close to the end of Atlantis, right? Or is it yeah, I think it's Atlantis. But if you're getting burnout, I say this to anyone who might be getting burnout in any gacha game. If you ever feel like stepping away for a little bit, I would highly encourage that. It's definitely a good idea to take breaks in these types of games, and if you end up, wasting AP, that's not the kind of thing to really sweat. But if it also just means play a little bit less, don't worry too much about over leveling all your servants at this point. You're still fairly early on. I think I was I was probably at least 2 years, maybe more, into the game before I had every single servant max leveled. And yeah, and max ascended. So it takes a while. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you feel like just sitting, not really spending all your AP, just logging in once a day and that's it for a bit, I think that's not a bad idea. When it's reduced AP. Yeah, I know that feeling. I hear you. Right? It feels like you're just wasting it. But I will say, if you are worried about burnout now, like there's gonna be a lottery event. I mentioned this, so I'll just keep it short. Lottery event in a month or less. And that is where if you really want to go ham and if you really don't want to feel like you're missing out, that's when you really want to go hard. And so I would say if you want to pull back a little bit right now so you can spend those apples during the lottery event, I would say I would recommend that. Yeah. But yeah, that's nice thing at least about playing an NA is that you have Clairvoyance EX. You know exactly what's gonna come. Oh, whoop. Okay, I didn't think that I would break their bar. Excuse me, but by breaking their bar... Oh, she's stunned! Nice. I know they removed the charm, so I was a little worried that she's gonna NP. But because there's self-stun there, we're good. And we have protection this turn. So they're gonna NP. They still have a ton of HP, though. That is so much. Oh, but I think killing their other mice actually reduces their HP. Right, that was a thing. Okay, so now we're gonna overcharge... Yeah, we're gonna overcharge the front Castoria's NP. So I'm a little hesitant. I think that's the right move. Let's go ahead and do that though. What servant is that? The mice? So they're new to this event. They are new 4 stars, and it looks like they're limited. But their name is Daikokuten. I actually don't know their lore. I haven't really been paying attention to the story. Oh wait. This is looks like they are a bunch of maid mice. They look pretty good in that actually, right? Yeah, they're maids and maybe nurses. Here, wait, you can see their NP. But they're almost like the mice from Cinderella, the Disney movie, aren't they? They're a bunch of mice maids that help out and do stuff, I guess. But they're mice girls, not just mice, I guess, in Cinderella. But here they're called Tweeny Little, and so I'm not quite sure what that's a reference to. They're called Tweeny Little as bosses. I'll say I haven't watched the Disney Cinderella in a while. I mean, it's not a movie that's like one of my all-time favorites or anything, but I think it was probably a very good Disney movie. But one thing that I remember really liking about that movie, one thing that really just cracked me up, that I thought was a really clever joke, is... Actually, do I have the... I still have that involved, so let's use it. When there's cute... It is really cute, isn't it? Yeah, they're doing their job. They're cleaning you up. When Cinderella meets a new mouse early on in the movie, it's a pretty fat one, I think. But it needs a name, I guess, because yeah, she hasn't met it yet and given it a name. So she gives it a name, and she says, "Why don't we call you Octavian?" Which is, it's a pretty, it's a long name, right? Octavian. That's kind of a tough name, but she says, "But for short, we'll call you Gus." Now that's a strange one, right? Why would you call somebody Octavian Gus for short? You would think that's kind of strange, but of course, this is kind of a maybe not that subtle, but for kids it would be subtle. It's a bit of a subtle kind of nod to the fact that Cinderella is actually very, very intelligent, or at least very learned, because when she's thinking of Octavian, she's thinking of Octavius Caesar, one of the Caesars of Rome. Yeah, it's like Richard and Dick, right? So, well, not quite, but kind of, yeah, kind of, because Octavian was also known as Augustus Caesar. So, and Augustus was his title as well as name, right? When you get into these emperors and royalty and all that shit, their names are their titles, whatever. But anyway, you had Octavian, and he was also known as Augustus Caesar, and of course you shorten Augustus to Gus. So she was referencing that, and that's the kind of thing. She's supposed to be like a teenager. She's essentially a slave to her evil stepmom, right? But she still takes time to read here and there. You wouldn't expect her to be educated, but she is. And that's like a nice subtle touch that tells us a little bit about her character, which I absolutely loved. And I don't remember when I caught that. I was definitely at least a teenager when I learned about this. But I don't... Yeah, when I was a kid and I watched it, I just thought, that's kind of a silly nickname. Why would you take Augustus, or why would you take Octavian and turn it into Gus? It must be like a quirky little joke, but no, it's actually a clever joke about, not even a joke, it's a character development moment, which I guess parents probably appreciate when they're watching with their kids. But, yeah. I'll say, I'm more of a fan of the Disney, like, princess movies than probably most men and boys. I don't know. I've always been a big fan of The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast as well. Probably because they were VHSs that I had growing up. But I stopped watching them as I grew up. They're not my thing anymore, but I still have a lot of respect for them. I think they probably hold up very well if I were to rewatch them. Cinderella, though. I did like those mice. And yeah, in anime, though, instead of just mice, you got sex... Well, okay, these guys aren't that sexy. Maybe it's because I'm not much into anthropomorphic animals or furries, but I know some people are. But we got mice girls, not just mice. I figured it out. Well, it's not so much about being dumb, but it's just whether or not you've learned it, right? You might not have learned about Roman history. I remember I just learned it at some point in high school. I think I probably learned about Augustus Caesar in high school and thought, wait, that reminds me of something. Octavian, haven't I heard that name somewhere? And then at some point I rewatched Cinderella and put 2 and 2 together. But not everyone knows about Octavius Caesar. It's like Julius Octavius or something. Or no, Julius is a different Caesar. It's Augustus Caesar and Julius Caesar. And Octavian was also his name. And Augustus Caesar and Julius Caesar were both such egomaniacs, right? A lot of emperors are, as you would expect them to be. But they're responsible for July and August being the months that they are. Because originally, I believe, I don't know precisely the details, but from what I understand, originally there were 10 months. September was the 7th month, October was the 8th, November was the 9th, and December was the 10th. But they decided, we need a month named after me, so we're gonna stick... And we want it in the warm months, because who wants to be associated with one of those cold, miserable months? We want a warm month. So they stuck July for Julius and August for Augustus in between June and August and September, I guess. So as a result, we have a 12-month calendar now with July and August in there. And the naming makes sense, right? If you know anything about Latin naming, you would hear October, oct, and think 8. You would hear November, nov, and you'd think 9. And December, dec. Like, right, decimal system is quite well known for being a system of tens. But, So it's one of those curiosities. Know a lot about it? Well, I know a little bit about it, but thanks. Yeah, it's... I mean, I just looked it up at some point. It was a kind of just a weird thing, right? You just... Because I often thought, yeah, why is October the 10th month named Oct? Because Oct, you hear, well, octuplets, octopus with 8 legs, and octagon with 8 sides. Why is it 10? Makes no sense. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. These guys, Julius and Augustus, were just such big egomaniacs. They just needed months named after them. And, I mean, 12 months is actually not a bad way to divide up the calendar, right? Divide up the year. It fits right in with 4 seasons. Better than 10 months, right? You can't divide 10 by 4. You can't do 12. And that's one reason I believe, I would guess, I don't know if there's any way to prove it, but in the past, or even today, right, a foot is 12 inches. And people look at a foot versus the decimal system, where it's, 10 millimeters to a centimeter, 100 centimeters to a meter. It's very simple, right? Very straightforward. And people, and I think mostly correctly, think that's better. It's better if it's decimal. It's easier. But I don't think people quite appreciate why 12 was such a good number for all of this. Why it was so useful. Because you can divide 12 by 2, by 3, by 4, and by 6. So it makes it, when you're dividing stuff among people, that it... you know, there are exceptions. You can't divide by 5, you can't divide by 8, 7, whatever. But for a lot of cases, it's pretty easy to divide it evenly. And that serves a lot of purposes in real life. So I think there's a lot of value in that kind of system of using 12s instead of 10. And a lot of people don't appreciate that. Maybe it's because I studied math, right? I studied math in college. I was a math major. So I had a big interest in numbers. You kind of have to have an interest in numbers, or at least shapes, to a big extent to really want to study math. So that was one of the things that I just looked up. Okay, I feel like I need to play defense here. I'm worried about the damage that I'm taking, but this Brave Chain is so juicy. Right, I'm gonna give in and use the Brave Chain, but next time. I just wish I had Mordred at a higher NP level. I tried so hard with her, trying to get her, and barely got 1 copy. Also, I forgot how Mordred's NP actually drains enemy NP chart, and as a result... Ooh, okay, she might die soon. And as a result, that does mean that I don't have to worry so much about the enemy NPs, really. Okay, now we can actually start using the NP, or Castoria NP. But I'll also say this front line has survived longer than I expected. This team has no healing, at least among the servants. They do have a ton of health. Yeah, the middle guy, so this fight is sort of a gimmick fight. It seems these days most challenge quests, I think, are gimmick fights, because kind of straight up general challenge quests have all basically been solved by servants like Merlin, Castoria, and I guess even Oberon and such. But this one, it seems the idea is that this middle enemy, this says Tweeny Little, this middle enemy keeps spawning new servants, these black versions of themselves. Shadow servants, and every time they spawn it, it seems like they have to use up a little bit of their HP. So we want to kill all of these others while also hurting it. So the HP isn't quite as bad as it looks, but it's still pretty darn high. I'll say that. Okay. What? Fuck it. I'll use the heal. This Mystic Code has a heal at 7 turn cooldown. I'm pretty sure 7 turn cooldown is the lowest cooldown on any Mystic Code, and it's not even close. I'm pretty sure about that. I think almost all the Mystic Code cooldowns are at least 10, if not at least 12 at max level. So one of the major advantages of that particular Mystic Code is being able to use that heal fairly often. Pretty clever design, but I will say I don't like how long they made the Mystic Code cooldowns. I feel like it's just too excessive. I don't know how they came up with the numbers, but I think they could have made it more like 9 to 12 turn cooldown instead of like, currently it's more like 12 to 15 turn cooldown and stuff. Maybe let's say like 7 to 10 turn cooldown even. I think the game wouldn't be broken if these Mystic Codes had the exact same skills, but just had that particular, those cooldowns reduced. But, I mean, I didn't design the game, so maybe I'm wrong. Then again, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who did design the game they were not the most competent and aware at times. Okay, we'll use the dodge protection. But yeah, now there's only around 1 million HP, and Mordred's doing a damn good job. I'll say that. She's been a champ right now. Mordred was the OG Arts Looper. Maybe not the OG, but before Castoria came around, Mordred was the one you would count on to loop. She would loop by herself, or with art supports. She wasn't the support like Castoria, she was the looper. But her NP gain was notoriously high, and you can tell it's very, very high. She's getting a full refund almost every time. And when she's not, she's getting a significant refund. And she was so easy to loop. And the fact that she has a chance to reduce enemy NP charge on an AoE, I mean, that's icing on the cake. That makes it so that a lot of challenge quests become a lot easier by just keeping the enemies away from NPing. Prevent them from NPing while also just dealing tons of damage to them over and over and over again by looping with their NP. So she could do that before Castoria. Now you add Castoria, you add 2 Castorias to the mix. Well, look at what's happening here, right? No healing on this team except the Mystic Code, and I'm still pretty healthy right now. No one's really close to dead. Mordred is an absolute champ. Why couldn't you just come to me twice? Well, I still grailed you, because I love you, Mordred. Actually, I think I'll probably take her up to 100 at some point. I don't know if it'll be immediate or anytime soon, but it'll happen. With how many grails they're giving us, it's gonna happen. Okay, I am worried though now, because I drained their NP, right? Which means Mordred is left vulnerable. I could try not using Mordred's NP. Okay, let's just use it. One disadvantage of using double Castoria is that, or maybe not disadvantage, but one area where they don't quite interact that well is when you layer their NPs on top of each other, because you can't overwrite an existing invul stack with another one. So if they already have one, you just waste it. But sometimes you run into a situation like this where some of my servants have invul stacks, one of them doesn't, and they all need invul right now. And so I'm just gonna have to waste some of it and hope that it works out.
ネズミ浄土は間もなく閉園のお時間です。
Right, there we go. That is so cute. I love the little one, or tall one, kind of in the thick of it. You can watch her, like, claws going at it like a frenzy. It is super cute. Okay. Nice chance to use Mordred's MP. So I'm actually gonna try this, because it does seem like if we kill the enemy mobs, that actually contributes to damaging the enemy boss. I think that is how it works. So we'll try that. Been playing with a few new servants? Oh yeah? Like new ones you've recently built from farming the embers? Like whom? Mochizuki Chiyome. Oh, nice. Yeah, she's a cutie. I hope you like the fishnet outfit. That's probably one of my favorite outfits. Default outfits anyway in the game. She is nice. She has the 30% NP charge, right? I kind of consider her almost like a... It's funny to say this about a welfare servant like Shiki, but she's almost a welfare, or she's a budget Shiki in a way, because they're both single target arts servants with a 30% NP charge and a dodge. They have a few things in common. So it's they fill similar roles. Emmy Archer fucking says. Wait, which Emmy Archer are you talking about? Are you talking about the Thug Archer, i.e. Archer Emiya, or Thug Emiya, i.e. Emiya Alter, or do you mean the OG Emiya Archer, the one from Fate Stay Night? Oh no, we didn't manage to keep the front line alive. Got all 3 rank ups and he still lost? Wait, I would disagree with that. I don't know. Like, the OG is actually really, really good, in my opinion. And I'm not even a fan of him as a character. I actually don't like Shiro at all. I think he's kind of a loser. Well, he's not really a loser, but I don't like, yeah. Anyway, I don't like Archer that much. But I actually think he's really good. He's all about the crits. He's all about the crits. His Hawkeye skill is a beast of a skill. That's the thing. In my opinion, yeah, it's just a monstrous skill. It offers 100% crit buff. And he can generate his own crit stars with his NP. Even, can he do it with the arts version? Maybe not so much. So, in terms of using him, you know, it's... Maybe you're not, maybe, I don't know, but... I would say the way to use him, yeah, his crits do hit hard. His Hawkeye offers 3 turns of 100% crit buff, along with like 100% crit star drop buff. Okay, nice, we did beat it. And so the idea basically is that you want to use his NP. His NP has a lot of hits. Right on the turn where you use his NP, what you want to do is you use Hawkeye and probably Projection, and that will make him drop a lot of crit stars, right? Oh. NP gain is awful. His NP doesn't hit hard as you thought it would. Well, let's see. By himself, he can struggle, I guess, but his projection's pretty solid. I'm just gonna do one single here. We'll see if we can get a super onion. But I mean, let me actually show you how I would use him normally, and you know, maybe it'll be impressive, maybe it won't. Okay, unfortunately not Bluebeard.